Okay, let's just jump right in because today's explainer covers what is literally one of the most unbelievable, harrowing tales of human endurance you are ever going to hear. We're looking at a story that tests the absolute limits of the human mind and body. It's about what happens when the adventure of a lifetime turns into a complete, inescapable nightmare. 456. Just take a look at this number and let it sink in for a second. Imagine living exactly that many days completely cut off from the rest of the world. No phone, no internet, no rescue helicopters coming for you, and absolutely zero human contact. Just you, the elements, and your own sheer will to survive. I mean, really put yourself in those shoes for a moment. Could you actually do it? Could you endure the physical and psychological torture of over a year and a quarter in absolute terrifying isolation? It's a chilling thought, right? Well, let's look at how this incredible, terrifying journey actually began. So our story begins super optimistically. June 15th, 2023 in San Francisco. 26-year-old Clara and her close friends Maya and Liam boarded this sturdy little boat called the Albatross. They were young, they were adventurous, and they basically just wanted to escape the daily grind to find this unmapped, untouched Pacific paradise. They packed months of rations, they were bursting with excitement, the whole shebang. And at first, it's perfect. After 4 magical days of sailing, literally racing dolphins across the water, they arrive at this tiny green dot on an old maritime map called Ethelgard Island. But behind that breathtaking beauty was some serious hidden terror. The jungle there was so impossibly dense that sunlight barely even reached the ground. Plus, the whole place was surrounded by these jagged volcanic rocks that created a weird, haunting kind of music against the crashing waves. You know how survival situations always seem to start as this idyllic dream before everything falls apart? That's exactly what happened here. Days 1 through 7 were pure magic. They explored ancient vine-covered ruins, marveled at glowing blue mushrooms, and just hung out around joyful campfires. But then, Day 8, June 26th. It's time to leave. Liam turns the key and nothing. Just a broken engine, a completely dead radio, and absolute terrifying silence. Just like that, paradise became a prison. And then it came down to a brutal mathematical reality. The number 2. Their emergency motorized lifeboat had a strict maximum capacity of just 2 people. 3 friends, 2 seats. It was mathematically impossible for them all to leave together. So, a heartbreaking decision had to be made. Someone had to stay behind. For Clara, this agonizing wait begins. On day 1 of this ordeal, Liam and Maya bravely take the lifeboat to go get help, leaving Clara with a flare gun and exactly 10 days of food and water. They absolutely promised to be back by day 10. So Clara waits, right? Marking the walls of her tiny cabin every single morning, staring out at the horizon. But then, day 11 arrives, bringing this heartbreaking realization of abandonment. The sun rose, but her hope basically set. She genuinely thought her best friends had just left her there to die. But here is the absolute most devastating irony of this whole tragedy. The invisible truth: Maya and Liam never abandoned her. On just the second day of their journey, a massive ocean storm hit. We're talking towering, mountainous waves. The horrific realization is that the very storms Clara was listening to from the safety of her cabin on the island had already capsized her friend's tiny boat. They perished trying to save her. Meanwhile, back on Ethelgard Island, Clara has absolutely no clue this happened. Her food is gone. She's literally surviving by licking dewdrops off of leaves. And the nights, oh man, the nights were pure psychological torment. Imagine being locked in a dark cabin, starving to death, and listening to the terrifying, grating sounds of massive wild boars circling the ship, just scratching at the wood, hunting for food. She was utterly defenseless. It's in these moments, when everything is stripped away, that the human brain either breaks or it adapts. Driven by agonizing starvation, Clara makes a literal life-or-death gamble. She flips the script. She decides she has to become the hunter. So she grabs a piece of scrap iron from the ship, spends hours and hours agonizingly sharpening it on a stone to forge a crude spear, and steps out of our cabin to hunt the exact same beasts that were terrorizing her at night. One mistake meant certain death, but she literally had nothing left to lose. Fast forward exactly 1 year, day 365. The transformation here is absolute. That naive, adventure-seeking city girl from San Francisco, completely gone. In her place is this hardened survivor, wrapped in clothes she crafted herself out of boar skins, just surviving day by brutal day, entirely on sheer willpower and grit. But here's the thing about survival. It's not just about keeping your body alive, right? You have to sustain your mind. To fight off the crushing, maddening weight of that absolute silence and loneliness, Clara found a creative outlet. She meticulously carved a small flute out of bamboo, and every evening she'd just sit there and play these sorrowful, haunting melodies that echoed out into the empty jungle. It was her way of holding on to her humanity. Then we hit day 400. Over 400 days in, and a miracle seems to happen. She spots this tiny dot on the horizon, a distant ship. Instantly, her hope is revived, flooding her veins like electricity. She screams until her throat literally bleeds. She lights signal fires. She waves frantically. But the ship just sails right past and vanishes into the blue. The devastation was absolute. I mean, it completely shattered her heart. But from that shattered heart came this fierce, undeniable resolve. Refusing to just lay down and die on that island, Clara spends a full month brilliantly engineering an escape. She works day and night gathering bamboo and vines, ties the logs together to create a sturdy raft, fashions a sail out of the wreckage of the Albatross, and cleverly stocks hollowed-out coconuts with precious rainwater. She names this little raft Hope. Which brings us to day 426. She looks back at the island, this place that was both her prison and her sanctuary, and she makes the ultimate gamble. She pushes Hope right out into the merciless, endless expanse of the Pacific Ocean. She was trading the known dangers of the island for the vast, silent blue of the absolute unknown. Basically, a choice between a slow death and a highly dangerous gamble for life. And the toll the ocean took on her, it was agonizingly brutal. Weeks at sea. The scorching sun blistered her skin until it blackened and cracked. She endured severe starvation, surviving on rare drops of rain. Massive sharks were just endlessly circling her tiny raft. But worst of all, her deteriorating rind actually started to break. She began having these harrowing hallucinations, hearing Maya and Liam calling out to her from the crashing waves. By day 456, the fight was basically over. Completely out of food and water for weeks, her emaciated, skeletal body just kind of gave up. She lay on her raft, drifting in a state of near unconsciousness, quietly waiting for the end. I mean, she had fought as hard as any human could possibly fight. But then, something breaks the silence. A faint hum. Slowly, it grows into the distinct, powerful roar of an engine. And right out of the haze, this massive research vessel, the Orion Star, appears on the horizon, impossibly close. You could literally see people walking on the deck. Salvation was right next to her. But there is a huge, terrifying problem here. She is way too weak to even shout. Her vocal cords are totally parched. Just a tiny whisper comes out. But as she's lying there, crying these warm tears of total frustration, she spots the bamboo flute resting in her lap. The very tool she crafted to save her mind was now her only chance to save her life. Summoning literally the last ounce of strength in her body, she lifts it to her cracked lips. A single, fragile, heartbreaking note carried across the water. A rescue officer on the deck of the Orion Star suddenly pauses, looks out over the water, and asks, "Did you hear that? Like someone crying?" They grab their binoculars, spot the raft, and sound the alarm. That one haunting melody on a handmade flute literally pulled her back from the brink of death. By the time they reached her, she was unconscious, but her fingers were still tightly gripping that flute. Clara survived 456 days against impossible odds. She didn't just defeat the island and the ocean, she defeated death itself. As we wrap up this explainer, her story leaves us with a truly chilling question. If you were stripped of absolutely everything, your friends, your tech, your food, your comfort, what hidden strength would you uncover? When everything is stripped away, what tune would your survival play? Thanks for joining me on this incredible journey today, and I'll see you in the next one.